Today I'm here with Juan Galt. Juan Galt has a YouTube channel. He's a Twitter personality. You may have seen him with Ugly Old Goat. He's a longtime Bitcoiner and he has lived on crypto in Mexico. So today I wanted to ask him about that. Juan, how are you doing?
I'm great. How are you doing? Thanks for having me on, man. Appreciate it.
I'm doing fantastic. What is the Bitcoin community in Mexico like?
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of friends in Guadalajara. There's a lot of people in a variety of little towns and cities throughout Mexico. There's a few people in Acapulco right now. There's definitely a community in Mexico City. They have an embassy in Mexico City. That sounds pretty cool. I actually haven't visited yet, but there's Bitcoin people everywhere throughout Mexico. I mean, I wouldn't say that Bitcoin adoption has really become to be noticeable in Mexico. But if you are a Bitcoiner, you can certainly live off of Bitcoin in Mexico. There's a variety of ways. There's not too many ATMs. I mean, I'm told there's one ATM, I believe, in Guadalajara. But there is a vibrant local Bitcoins community. So you can get on local Bitcoins. You can meet people through local Bitcoins. I actually met Jose Pimpo, I think the CFO of BitMEX, through local Bitcoins like years ago. Because I went local Bitcoins. I found the highest reputation guy in Mexico City. I asked him if we could do trade, and I told him who I was and my Twitter. And he was like, "Yeah, let's go have lunch, and I'll sell you, I'll buy some of your Bitcoin, right?" And and we did that. So local Bitcoin is actually a great way to meet people. If you could do the cash option, I don't know if you could do the cash option anymore these days with local Bitcoins, but you might be able to. And I think the easiest way that I found to connect to the Bitcoin community in any country or city, and this definitely applies to Mexico, is to try and find their Bitcoin meetups or their Bitcoin community, and then through there you can do cash trades or you can figure out how to get in. Um, so yeah, I mean there's ways. It's not like a Bitcoin debit card. You'll have to search it, but it's definitely possible.
Have you ever used the exchange Bitso?
I have. Back in the day, you didn't have to be a resident of Mexico to use Bitso, and so you could deposit, and you could get a tourist bank account, and then you could withdraw the money to your tourist bank account. But now that's sort of changed. There's been some regulation changes, so you have to be a Mexican resident. You have to have a special sort of like ID number to be able to withdraw to a bank account. So now you have to be Mexican to really use Bitso. Um, if you do have that number, or if you get a residency, you get that number. Now you can get a bank account, and now you can connect your bank account to Bitso, because you can still get bank accounts in Mexico without being a Mexican resident. So yeah, that's the way. So that's how you would go about it. The banking system in Mexico is surprisingly good. So you can deposit cash at an OXXO, which is kind of like a little local store, corner store, and they're everywhere in Mexico. And so you can deposit cash and have it deposited to the local Bitcoins guy on the other side. They'll send you the Bitcoin, you give them the receipt, and so on. There's going to be an exchange sort of protocol there. There'll be like an escrow system and so on. But you can send cash relatively easy within small amounts, like under like probably $500. That's kind of how you would go about it. If you had a bank account in Mexico that Bitso can withdraw to, then that's the easiest way, because if you just send the money to Bitso, flip it, and take it out. There's a lot of things you can do with Bitrefill, though, right? So with Bitrefill, you can obviously get gift cards for all kinds of different things. I don't know if you can get gift cards for like Walmart. There is Walmart in Mexico, so you can do that. You can go shop at Walmart. You can certainly refill your phone. I did a lot of that throughout the years, use Bitrefill to add data to my Mexican sort of SIM card, and that was just even Lightning Network stuff. It just take like 5 seconds and it'd be done for my phone. I wouldn't have to go to an OXXO and like give them cash and so on. So that's made things a lot easier.
You mentioned Bitrefill. What are the most useful Bitrefill gift cards while you're in Mexico?
I don't really use gift cards very often. The main thing that I used Bitrefill for was to add data to my phone. But I mean, Mexico's a fairly developed country. Like I think people, especially Americans, have like this view of Mexico as like this third world sort of like country with just huts everywhere. Mexico's a fairly developed country. There's a lot of all, I mean, again, there's all the big block stores are there. You know, like you got Office Depot, Home Depot, Walmart. You get Starbucks, right? You get McDonald's, Burger King. Like you had all of the everything you find in the United States. All the major corporate sort of retail companies are there, and so anything, any gift card that you can find for that, it'll work, or it should work in any of those. And I think that the question is how do you get cash for Bitcoin? That's the biggest question. And there's, whenever there's a conference in Mexico, usually a bunch of Westerners or foreigners get to Mexico and they have Bitcoin and they don't have any cash, right? So there's opportunities there at conferences, but I mean, as far as gift cards go, you can find anything at the big box stores, I'm pretty sure.
So is it hard to convert your Bitcoin to pesos, or is it somewhat easy?
I never had a problem until that regulation for Bitso came in. And then I was doing some work for cash. So I stopped needing it, right? So I'm not the best person to ask us how to do that in the recent years. But I did ask some of my friends in Mexico. So let me see if I can give you an answer for that. Okay, yeah. So I'm told by some of my friends that Paxful works, and there's other P2P exchanges. I'm guessing Paxful is going to be the biggest one, where you can meet with somebody like you could back in the day with local bitcoins, and you just give them some Bitcoin and they'll give you cash. That's always been the best way. Again, I haven't really needed to do that in a while, but over the years, like back in the day, that was did it, right? And you would just go find the local Bitcoins meetup, right? And start connecting, right? Once you build a relationship with, two or three local Bitcoin traders, then you don't have a problem anymore, because you can just, send them a message on Telegram, do small amounts. You don't want to do a huge amount, right? Do like, $300 a round and so on, so that you're not risking too much on a P2P exchange or trade. And then they'll just deposit cash to your bank account if you have a bank account in Mexico, or just meet up with them and do the cash trade. And that's really been the best way and the most reliable way I find anywhere. And I think that definitely counts for Mexico. But you have to find the Bitcoin community. And I found that every major city in the world has a Bitcoin community. They're just not loudly advertising it. But if you start looking, if you look for Facebook groups, if you look for meetups, if you look for any conferences that they've made, if you look around on social media, you'll find the Bitcoin community. And that's how you can find the kind of gray market Bitcoin economy that's everywhere in the world. They're just not blaring it out on speakerphones, right? They're on social media.
Yeah. Okay. You mentioned the regulations in Mexico. What's the regulatory climate like? Are cryptos legal? Are they illegal? Are they kind of in a gray area?
Yeah, I don't think they're illegal. It seems like the regulation has been clarified enough that, again, Bitso can operate and have bank accounts, and various other exchanges can have bank accounts. But yeah, I'm not sure why they made it such that foreigners couldn't withdraw, couldn't be like foreigner bank accounts couldn't be used in Bitso. So that's I'm not sure what's going on there. I did ask my friends as well, so let me give you their answer. Yeah, so one of the answers that I got from Mr. Coin, who's he's a character. He's a really nice guy. He's been a big influencer and community builder in Guadalajara. He tells me that the regulatory environment, they say that they're pro innovation, right? They kind of like, speak like they say that they're pro innovation, but the reality seems to be that they're looking for political advantage. They're looking for tax collection. They're trying to keep control of their grid, right? And so there's politics around it, but they're generally positive in their kind of narrative outlook. So um, it seems it's gray zone, right? And that's the way a lot of things work. A lot of things are in Mexico. They're kind of like, it's not a big problem, it's not a big threat, but they want to make sure they have certain control. So obviously, the bigger that you are, the more attention that's going to come to you. But you're going to need bank accounts at that level anyway, unless you're doing big cash trades, and I can't help you with that. Yeah, so like you can find OTC desks in Mexico, and that would be the way you would do that kind of trade.
Okay. What about like Mexican businesses? Is there anywhere that you can go and like directly spend Bitcoin or any other sort of cryptocurrency?
I mean, there's been flashes of this here and there. that level of market adoption has never really taken off in Bitcoin. It's been very hard for that to take off because Bitcoin is so volatile. Nobody wants to spend it. Like Bitcoin just keeps going up. Why would you spend it? So I think for things that are digital, Bitrefill, for example, has filled a huge niche globally, right? And if you're all in on Bitcoin, so things like Bitrefill are going to help a lot globally because they kind of bypass that adoption. But I would say that I haven't really seen, there's been like rumors, right? Like there's been like news flashes like, oh, 7-Eleven accepts Bitcoin, but you go to 7-Eleven and nobody knows what the hell you're talking about. So I would generally say that no, that there isn't any much of any merchant adoption for Bitcoin in Mexico. There might be some pockets here and there, but none that I would even know where to point to.
Okay. What about Lightning
I
Network?
think it'll come in the future. I think it'll come. It'll come when the price stabilizes. Yeah, I think that'll come in the future. I think it'll come with the price stabilizes. You'll begin to see more adoption eventually. We're just not there yet. As far as the Lightning Network goes, there is experimentation. There's been experimentation. Like I've played with it with some of my friends in Mexico. But again, like it's the same thing. There's no real market need for it yet because the Bitcoin fees aren't that high yet. Like we're talking about $2 fees if you're willing to wait a little bit, maybe $1 fee if you're willing to wait a few hours, and it depends on the climate, that the sort of fee rate climate. So like we haven't needed it yet. The day that $50 Bitcoin fees become normal, that's when Lightning Network will really start to take off. So for now, I would say there's not really any kind of Lightning Network adoption um, in Mexico because there's just no need yet. There's no need. But again, like the general adoption of Bitcoin in Mexico isn't that high. There's pockets of it, and these people are tech savvy and they've probably been doing okay with Bitcoin. I don't know, but like that's a question for every individual. But I don't know. I don't think there's a need yet. I don't think the demand is there yet, but it probably will come.
What are the advantages of living on crypto over living on pesos in Mexico? Are there any, or is it better just to use cash still?
It depends what you mean by living on Bitcoin. So the main advantage of living on Bitcoin anywhere in the world, a country, or at least a country that isn't like that doesn't have the strength of the dollar behind it or the strength of the euro, is that your savings actually grow over time rather than shrink, rather than lose purchasing power. I know so many people that have been stuck in some kind of rat race, so to speak, for their whole lives, right? Or they've been sort of slowly getting better jobs, but the inflation is sort of raising the prices of everything. So like they're just kind of stuck living paycheck to paycheck. With Bitcoin, you can actually escape that in a very kind of simple, lateral move. If you start saving in Bitcoin, then yeah, okay, you'll have to figure out how to take profits to pay your bills, and that's the cost of adoption right now. The day that it's easy to use Bitcoin, it'll be too late to buy Bitcoin because everybody will be in, right? The day that it's easy to keep and use Bitcoin, completely easy, like as easy as it is to use cash today, it'll be the day that we've succeeded, and that'll be peak Bitcoinization. So right now, the opportunity is that you can save in Bitcoin, and then your savings will actually grow against things like any kind of fiat currency, as has been shown throughout the whole history of Bitcoin. Right? If you just wait, or wait a little bit, right? Like on average, it's like 10% increase daily. Um, then your wealth actually grows, right? And so you don't have to work as much. You can choose what you work in. You just have to figure out how to get cash, right, or how to spend the Bitcoin, how to cover your needs, right? Um, but beyond figuring that out, your wealth is actually growing over time. Your savings actually grow. They don't lose purchasing power. Like the kind of returns that Bitcoin promises or has delivered throughout its history on average are very, very hard to match by the financial system. And so that's the real advantage, and that applies very much to Mexico as well as anywhere else. Mexico's currency is surprisingly stable, but they had a major inflation event, something like, I think it was like 25 to 30 years ago, that lost people, something like half of their savings, right? it was a major inflationary event. I think they added like a zero or two to their currency. So um that's the kind of thing that Bitcoin protects you from, and the people that get it are going to be much better positioned in a world where finance and geopolitics and global economics are very much unstable. So yeah, I mean, I think that's the major benefit right now.
You mentioned a Bitcoin ATM in Guadalajara. Have you encountered any other Bitcoin ATMs anywhere else? Are they common or are they pretty rare?
I wouldn't say they're common. I think they're definitely pretty rare. I have encountered a couple of them, I think. But yeah, they're very rare.
Is there anything that I haven't asked you that you'd like people to know about living on crypto in Mexico?
It's what I was just saying. Yeah, like it's the opportunity is that it actually lets you increase your savings over time and exit this corporate rat race that we seem to be all a lot of us seem to be trapped in. Unless you like it, then you're good. But if you don't like it, then Bitcoin is an option to exit that system. So yeah, I wrote an article at juangalt.com. It's in Spanish for people that are in Mexico. I also have it in English. And it teaches you how to dollar cost average. It gives you some options for where to buy Bitcoin in North America and in South America. And it just gives you kind of like the main download that you need to enter Bitcoin without having to be do a lot of research, right? Like if you read this article, you'll be able to go from a no coiner to or a pre coiner to somebody that has their first Bitcoin wallet secure, with a secure passphrase, and you can start stacking sats, right? And now you know how you'll have a strategy to actually acquire it without having to, what a lot of people are doing right now, which is to just go all in, or they throw like more than half of their savings right now, and then the price drops 10% because that's what Bitcoin does sometimes, right? And then they're panicking, right? So you don't end up buying the top of a micro bull market, right? So you dollar cost average, you enter, you get an average position, you know how to learn a little bit about how to buy dips. Though I don't really talk about that in the article, but you grab a piece now and then you start dollar cost averaging, and that'll give you a much smoother entry into this sort of Bitcoin economy, this Bitcoin savings economy. And and that little piece of, like, if you just do that with like 5 or 10% of your income, that little piece will start growing and growing until it eats your savings like a Pac-Man. Um, and then you'll be hyper Bitcoinized. It's great.
Well, Juan, thank you very much for taking time out of your day to answer my questions. I really appreciate it.
Sure thing. And listen, I've been teaching people how to Bitcoin since about 2014. I've written over 150 articles. I've made over 100 videos. I've been on maybe 50 or more interviews, probably more. So I'm happy to help. I'm happy to teach. You can hire me for consulting, and I'll spend an hour or two with you and help you through most things that you'll have questions about in Bitcoin, to fast track you through this learning process, because there is a learning curve. There's a lot of information out there. You can ask around. I'm a reputable guy, and I'm not gonna promise you the moon like many people do.
I'll include your contact info in the show notes so that people can get a hold of you.